All right, Marianne, thanks for coming to have a chat with us today. Maybe we'll start with, tell us a little bit about what interested you about studying psychology, and then tell us a bit about where you have studied psychology.
I think just the very word of psychology, people just imagine like someone sitting in a chair and kind of, I think the whole concept of it was interesting, and I didn't really know much about it at all, I think, when I started. It was really glorified by what you saw in the movies, and you thought, okay, that's really interesting, and I kind of want to do that, but I don't really know what it is I'm going to do.
So where'd you end up studying then?
So I went to Sydney University.
Yep.
And I did my undergraduate there. So I did the 3 years, and then I left to work.
So did you do it like a Bachelor of Arts or a Bachelor of Science? Or?
Bachelor of Science, majoring in psychology.
Right.
It's actually weird because I did like a double major, but it's completely different end of the spectrum. So it was in information systems.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to edit that, but yeah. Just because I think I just didn't have a feel for quite what I wanted to do in psychology.
Yeah, right, okay. Yeah. So you left university to work?
Yeah. I guess I kind of had enough of studying by that point, and I thought it gave me a bit to think about what I did already, and I think I needed to see it kind of in action, so working actually with people and seeing whether I liked doing that on a day-to-day basis.
So where'd you work when you left university? Where'd you go?
Well, for a while I was kind of fluffing around, I think, but I actually landed myself a job in disabilities, in adult disabilities, which is not, it wasn't my first choice.
Yeah, right.
But I actually think it's probably one of the most valuable experiences I had, just because I was working with adults with autism, really kind of non-verbal, really, really hard stuff where you're managing behaviour.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at the time I really didn't know that would be useful, but later on when, most of your work is about behaviour management, it kind of gives you some clout when you had that experience.
Okay. So you had a 3-year degree and you did that job for a little while. When did you decide to go back to study?
Well, actually I only did it for a few months, and then I found, maybe 6 months, and then I found a job as a caseworker in out-of-home care, so children who've left their families because of abuse and neglect and now are in foster care. So during that time I thought, look, I need to know more about what's going on here, and I kind of, sometimes I felt a bit, out of my depth, and I needed that security of university, like someone telling me what to do. So that's when I did a master's in behavioural health science.
Yep.
Which it was an equivalent to something that brought you to the pathway of registration, but not quite enough to do like a postgraduate course in psychology.
Right. Yeah. So when you say registration, you mean kind of a 4+2 pathway?
So that kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay. And so when you were working as a caseworker and you're working in disabilities, your 3-year degree in psychology, your undergraduate degree, what do you think it gave you when you were working in that area?
I hope something. I have like a big HECS debt that I've just paid off. I think it gives you a framework for kind of, solving problems. It gives you analytical skills and research skills. I wouldn't say, look, I remember what that lecturer said, developmental psych about Piaget or whatever. I don't think that's what I took out of it. I think what I took out of it was just being more independent, knowing that, okay, look, if I don't know a problem, this is how I would research it.
Right.
Whereas you were so spoon-fed, just, coming out of school.
Yeah.
And then you kind of get this culture shock when you enter university, where lecturers just say, look, read this textbook, and you're like, what? Which chapter?
Yeah.
So I think it gave me a bit more confidence to feel like, I don't need to have all the answers. I can go look for them, or I can talk to people,
Sure.
and I can look it up in a textbook or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. So you said you did a master's, and then after the master's, did you go to work or?
Yeah. So during that time, I found a position as an actual psychologist.
Registered psychologist.
Registered psychologist,
Right.
yeah. Sorry, actual. Registered is
Yeah.
the word. Yeah. And I was getting really, really good supervision by a clinical psychologist. So I started working as a psych for family and community services. And that's where I did some of my casework experience as well.
Right,
So I moved from casework to psych. And it was really interesting in the beginning.
Yeah.
Really a bit of a shock again because
Yeah.
I felt like I needed to know more.
Sure.
But I had a lot of support. I had supervision and
Yeah, great.
a lot of guidance from someone who was experienced.
Okay. So tell us what you do now.
So I'm a registered psych.
Yep.
What do I do now? I'm a juggler at the moment.
Yeah.
Like I think that's my full-time position because I'm working full-time
Yep. For.
family and community services. So I'm still there.
Yep.
So I'm working full-time and then studying, doing the doctorate in clinical psychology. So I decided after a while to go back into studying.
To study here at Wollongong Uni.
Yeah, to study here. Yeah, so that's kind of me. I'm just doing both at the same time.
So tell us why you decided to come back and do your doctorate of psychology.
I was really interested in research, and I think I had another bit of experience after docs in a clinic that was like a joint venture between health and docs. And being surrounded by other clinical psychologists and psychiatrists and people with lots and lots of experience and varied knowledge, and I just really felt like I wanted to find that, like to find who I'd be as a clinician later on.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's just so many different approaches, and
Yeah.
you kind of think, I need to know all of them, and I kind of have to work, like everyone else.
Yeah.
But like you kind of figure out that people have their own style,
Sure.
and that's kind of cool, I guess.
Yeah, right. So you're studying and working at the same time at the moment? Okay. So tell us what you like about your life at the moment, working and studying at the same time.
What I like? Well, I get to do everything, you know? I feel like I'm doing everything.
Yeah.
Which is fun. Like, it's fun to research. Like, it's fun to just kind of sit down and think about what's out there, what people have written.
Yeah. Tell us what your research is about.
Well, it's two-part, but the main substance of it is working with fathers who have substance abuse difficulties or substance abuse problems, and we're hoping to almost modify a parenting program that I had some experience in that looks at really important things like attachment and trauma and play, and using that sort of model with fathers in treatment and substance abuse treatment.
Right, great.
Yeah.
So going back to the beginning, you said that when you first thought about studying psychology, you didn't have a really good grasp of what it might look like.
No.
So tell us now that you're on the other side of it, what would you tell a person who's kind of at the beginning thinking about studying psychology?
Well, I think if you're interested, at least interested in it, just kind of hang in there and do your research. Like, just talk to people who are clean psychs or counsellors, because they're the ones who's going to tell you, what a typical day is like, and the kind of people that you'll meet and the stresses that you'll come across.
Yep.
So you kind of have to picture what you'd like to be doing every day, because it's the majority of the time that you spend.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So last question, you didn't do a kind of typical career path. You didn't do your undergraduate and honours and then... Yeah,
non-typical. I think that's like the first line of my sentence every time I talk to people.
Right.
Yeah.
So tell me what you'd like to tell those people who are kind of facing getting into honours and maybe not getting into honours the first time, or maybe they've done honours and not getting into a master's the first time.
It's so competitive. That's what I found. I feel like it's so cutthroat when you get to that honours stage.
Yeah.
People are really, really wanting that position in a clinical master's. Like, I think the way that I did it, there were a few hurdles. I mean, I don't regret any of it. I think it was really useful to get me to the place where I am now. Yeah, I suppose, I think try to relax and if you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, try not to be too hard on yourself.
Yeah,
like,
right.
there are other avenues to get here. I've met some people who are studying quite later on in their lives, have had children, and I think it's just a lot more different now. It's more diverse, like the people that you come across that you study with. Whereas when I was in undergrad, it seemed like everyone was around the same age, and if you know, if you met someone that was a little bit older, it was unusual. Whereas now, people are changing careers, and I just don't think it's the end of the world. Yeah,
Okay.
and I think there's people out there that help you get to where you want.
Yep.
Yeah, you kind of ask the right questions, I guess.
Great. All right. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thanks.